Evan grinned as the auctioneer handed him the paperwork. He couldn't believe his luck, winning an entire warehouse for only $500. The small rural town's real estate auction consisted mostly of old barns and neglected farmland. Yet, when the warehouse came up, he was the only bidder. He could only assume these hicks didn't know what they were doing. The photos showed a sturdy structure sitting on several acres of pristine land just outside town. Sure, it needed a little TLC, but it would have been immensely profitable at 10 times that price. The reaction to the property was certainly odd, though. The townsfolk had stared at him with peculiar expressions, a mix of pity and relief. Even the auctioneer's warning when he handed the deed to Evan was strange.
"Are you sure?"
he asked.
"Once you sign it, and everything that comes with it, is yours."
Evan chalked it up to small-town quirks and signed. That evening, Evan drove out to his prize, the sun dipping below the horizon as he arrived. The warehouse loomed before him, a hulking mass of rusted metal and broken windows. The faded lettering on the front read, "Grayson's Storage." The first thing he noticed as he stepped out of his car was the silence. Not the peaceful kind, but a dead silence. No birds, no insects buzzing, hell, not even the rustling of leaves in the breeze. He shook it off and unlocked the heavy padlock on the door, forcing it open with a screech that echoed into the dark. He flicked the light switch. The lights flickered on. Evan sighed.
At least there's power.
Inside, the air was heavy and stale, carrying a faint metallic tang. Dust swirled under his feet as he moved deeper, taking in the rows of forgotten shelves, crates, and scattered debris. This place was a gold mine for reselling antique furniture, tools, even an old safe tucked in a corner. Then he saw it. In the center of the warehouse stood a single wooden chair. A rope hung from the ceiling above it, swaying slightly, despite the lack of breeze. The chair was splintered, its seat darkened with stains that Evan didn't want to examine too closely. The rope stopped swaying, coming to an immediate, unnatural halt. Evan slowly backed away, his legs shaking. His shoe caught on something and he stumbled. Looking down, he saw a scattering of photographs. Picking one up, he held it to the light. It was a grainy black and white photo of an old man, a rope around his neck, his lifeless body slumped in the chair. A low creak echoed through the warehouse. Evan spun around, but the lights cut, plunging him into darkness.
"Hello?"
he called out, his voice trembling. Silence. Then whispering, faint, disjointed murmurs that seemed to come from all around him, speaking in some long-forgotten language David did not recognize. Evan fumbled for his flashlight. He spun toward the door. Somehow the door was farther away now. Shelves and debris now stood between him and the exit. The warehouse now a labyrinth of shelves, decaying furniture and metal. The whispers returned, as if coming from directly behind him. Evan took off. His footsteps echoed as he ran. The whispers grew louder, now angry, shouting over one another, before suddenly ceasing altogether. Evan stopped. The silence felt tense, as if anticipating something terrible. Suddenly, a loud, inhuman shriek echoed through the room. Evan fell backward. He looked up. There, in the darkness ahead, the chair stood once more, impossibly close. The rope above it no longer swayed, it was taut. Evan grabbed his flashlight, illuminating the chair fully, and the figure standing next to it. It was the man from the photographs. His face was pale and bloated, his neck marked by an angry, deep groove. His eyes locked on Evan's, and he offered a sinister smile. Evan screamed and turned to run, but the door slammed shut before him, the sound reverberating like a thunderclap. Evan slowly turned around, dreading another glimpse of the terrible old man. But the old man wasn't there. Instead, he saw himself, standing on the chair, a demented smile on his face as he pulled the rope around his neck. Evan hardly noticed the rope slowly winding around his own neck as he watched in horror. The other Evan winked at him before stepping off the chair. As he did, the rope around Evan's neck pulled him violently into the air. Several days later, the townsfolk gathered at the auction house. The auctioneer banged his gavel.
"Next lot, a warehouse on 5 acres of land. We'll open the bidding at $500 on Evan's storage."